All right. Finally started. There we go. Welcome to my whiskey den. And tonight is movie night. I'm excited about this because I worked at a video store for like about 5, 6 years. It was a little mini dream job when I was a kid, and then I got to play with it for a bit. So I was happy to try to do a couple of these things. Hey, Arthur, welcome to the chat. Let's start off with everyone's drinking right now with. What are you drinking, Arthur? You punched that in there. I just switched over to a Heaven Hills 6-year-old. And as usual, we have Mike and Ben with us. So, what are you guys drinking this evening right now?
Go ahead,
I'm,
Mike.
I'm drinking one of them that's on my list, so I'm not going to say what it is yet.
That's fair. That's fair. That's what I was doing with the rest of them. I have the one that I don't have, so that's why I could cheat.
Yeah, I'm doing the same as Mike, so
Okay.
I'll keep it a secret for right now.
We'll leave off. We'll leave off of that. So, one of the categories I know we were talking about, and the other thing we were talking a little bit before we got on, was coming up with some of the criteria for actually picking a movie out once we kind of got into a category. It can be a little tricky because do you want to pick something that you just want to drink with the movie, or do you want to have something that's a little more representational of the movie, which is I think the way most of us went. But I'll let you guys say your own piece with that. Does anyone want to start with? Let's start with comedy. Let's start with the comedy because I think that one was tough for me because I ended up going through a list, the 100 best movies of like the AFI list. So 100 best comedies because I'm like I had 5 or 6 and I was like, is there anything I missed that should click? Was I dumb? I brought up before. The Big Lebowski. That's an excellent movie to drink to. Problem is, you should drink a White Russian. That's just shady if you're not, and that doesn't count then. But one of my more favorite movies. Hey Ben, Demon Hunter, it's good to see you in here. Thanks for stopping in. I'll just start. Okay, the one wait, I'm gonna switch. I gotta switch drinks. Hold on a second, because that one I actually have here. Where is that? You think it'd be easier to grab one of the 3 bottles right in front of you? All right. For comedy, I didn't go bright. I actually went with kind of like I said, I don't want to pick something you guys did. I thought Anchorman was a little easy. I thought that was just easy because of the Scotch thing. So I went a little dark comedy. I went with the Royal Tannenbaums.
Oh, nice.
Because everyone kind of goes to like a little dark part of their life, but it is kind of funny because everyone's been there before if you're kind of seeing it happen. So I actually went with the one something I had here. I figured that should be good. I went with the Leg 9 from Game of Thrones. I probably would have picked a different Lagavulin if I had it. Maybe the 8 or the 16. But I thought it was something Royal would drink. I could see him drinking that. It's complex. It's got a lot of depth to it. It has a nice kind of salty bite in the end where it's almost like, rubbing a little salt in the wound at some point in the movies, but it finishes off with this, that fades away. It finishes off with this wonderful, long-lasting aftertaste where you're really content with it, if not happy. And I was going to say, that's kind of the way I felt with that movie was it's dark. There's all this stuff happening. Life before went like crap for these people. And you're trying to get back on the track of things. And then at the end, you're like, you know what? This is really pleasant. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, this went well. So that's the one I went with. We'll let you guys go, and then we'll bring up a couple of the, I would say, honorable mentions after we each go that kind of came to our head because I know it was a tough process. But yeah, I started with the Royal Tannenbaums and went Leg 9.
Nice. Good choice. You want to go, Ben?
Sure. So yeah, it was a tough process trying to narrow down comedy. I think Mike, you and I really share a lot of similarity as we go back and forth with some of our comedy interests. I like dark comedy. I like really dry British humor at times, and I love slapstick style comedy. So, one of my favorite all-time comedians in that vein. Chevy Chase, a lot of his stuff out of the 80s. I can watch those over and over on a loop, and it never gets old. So, movies like Fletch and Caddyshack were easily right there, but decided to go with a little duo that I think is one of my favorite all-time comedy duos on screen, and Chris Farley and David Spade and Tommy Boy. And, I mean, that's just one of my, again, probably one of my top 5, top 10 all-time comedy movies. Just I can watch it over and over, and I die laughing every time. But with that one, I decided to go with the Powers Gold Label Irish.
Okay.
It's just light and fun and easy to drink, and it's something I can sit back to a movie like that and just really enjoy. It's a whiskey. It's my go-to Irish. So when I want to drink of Irish, that's the first bottle I grab. And kind of like Tommy Boy, if I want a good laugh, that's one of the first movies I want to gravitate to. So that was my comedy choice.
Nice. So I had for mine, it was hard, man. It's really hard to try to narrow one of them down. But so my choice for the comedy was Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and the whiskey to go with it was Ugadal.
Okay.
Because it's a blend of young and old and different styles. It's refined, it's layered, it takes you on a journey and makes you feel special. But the proof is the long con at 54% proof. So Oogie Doll is Janet, and she's been pulling your strings the whole time. So you have to respect the game. And if you overdo it, 1 minute you think that you're Lawrence Jameson, and the next minute you're Ruprecht and you're pissing your pants and banging on pots and pans.
Oh, and that's what I meant. Like it was hard because there are a lot of different movies to pick one. I had Caddyshack on my list. That was one like you mentioned, Ben. Like that was on there, and that one you could easily come up with some. And I went back to Bill Murray. Groundhog's Day was on my list. Just because I'm like, it's something you could sit there and enjoy, like having, 3-4 drinks, and you're going to giggle a little bit more as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
Let's see what else was on there that was. See, like I said, some of them I liked as comedies, but might not have fit. Like I said, The Big Lebowski. I like Dazed and Confused. I'd put that into a comedy, but it's more, to be honest, it's beer and weed than it is whiskey. So I don't know. I just didn't think that one hit. Like I said, Anchorman I thought did. That would be just a Glenlivet 12. Just it's nice.
Yeah.
Scotch all day long. Really easy. I think those are the ones that kind of made sense to me, that kind of jumped up. Well, and I had Clerks, but that kind of falls into something else. That's because Clerks is one of my quiet favorites from when I was hit that age bracket, and I really dug that one, and that Kevin Smith spent only like $30,000 on the movie, and now it's like this wonderful cult classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult because when I thought Caddyshack, I was like, what would the judge drink? I'm like, what would he have in his glass? And I'm like, you could go character wise with that one, and there's so many different characters.
Yeah.
I had a hard time thinking, because I'm like, that would have to be like you're so layered. I think Ben brought up there would have been an infinity bottle.
Yeah.
That almost would have been a better choice. I'm like, there's so many different things going on here, and then it all comes together in this nice tight ending.
Yeah.
Never tell a Navy man he's had too much to drink.
Yeah.
But what were a couple other ones on your guys' comedy list that kind of jumped up?
I know one that's probably on Ben's list. I had Fletch.
Yeah.
But I could not figure out. I was trying to find something that wasn't what it seemed, for Fletch, and I had the other big one I got stuck on was I had Blues Brothers, and I thought it was pretty close. I had Blues Brothers with Bookers, because it's got a great soundtrack and it's almost always good, but you might not like the sequel. But then I just thought, but I could no matter what, I could always watch Blues Brothers, and I could always appreciate it, and it would just be, I don't know.
There's a part where if I remember thinking about hosting for the tribe. Like they have little meetups you can have.
Yeah.
And like the intro when they're doing their show, I was like, you could so almost like word for word just change it a little bit, have that be like a nice little musical intro to like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was, but no, in Wisconsin we don't have little areas where you can just bring bottles in with everyone being okay with it. So that wasn't going to happen here. But yeah, I remember watching it. I'm like, oh, you could just change like 4 words, and this is a perfect beginning to an evening, like kicking something off and welcoming the cops. There's probably one there.
Yeah. Orange whip. Sure, orange whip.
Oh, 1792 full proof. That's nice, Arthur. I was going to say, I think I finished off my little sample of that the other week. That was a really nice dram.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That store pick you sent to me, Mike, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
92.
Yeah, I've got a little hair of that left. I'd like to find another bottle just to see how close it is. But yeah, that pick they did, that was a Kansas City Whiskey Society did. Nice job.
Well, I think, I was telling you, I took that and A-B'd it next to a Booker's, Teresa's bat, and I came out liking the 1792 a little better than the Booker's.
Yeah.
May say a lot to a lot of people, but I thought there was a lot more depth and nuance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty rich. Very, very rich and nice, and just kept going on and on.
Yeah.
That's the one nice thing about store picks is when you find some almost that you like, you really get a lot of good stuff from it. Like it seems to stand out like 2 steps above, like, well, this is what we made.
Yeah.
Nice. We sent some people in to pick out a barrel, and this barrel is like 3 notches above what just the base barrel is. You're like, well, this has way more depth. It has more oak. It has more, more chocolate, depending upon what it is. And you're like, and it's an even higher proof, and I don't feel the kick. So I don't know. Like I'm starting to really enjoy store picks almost more than the average pick of like what's out there. I'll look for all that on the shelf first.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah.
All right, hold on here. I'm gonna finish the leg 9, and we'll slide on to another one. Go ahead. Sorry, Ben.
I was say, if you got a second, I'll throw you a story about Chris Farley.
Oh, I'll take stories about Chris Farley all day long.
Reasons I ended up going with the Chris Farley movie with the whiskey pick was it throughout high school and afterwards, a real good friend of mine was a impressive Chris Farley impersonator, and so he could pull all the SNL skits and movie lines and even the facial expressions and everything. He had Chris Farley, so he was a huge fan. So we went to the theater all together to see Chris Farley's last movie, Beverly Hills Ninja, I think it was. And of course, it was dead of winter. We had big coats. We all smuggled in flasks of whiskey to have while we were watching the movie. And unfortunately, I'll just use his first name, Nathan. He had been sucking on some Jack Daniels before we even got in there. So he was pretty lit. So we're sitting there waiting for the previews to start. And the theater's packed pretty good, and he starts rolling off impersonations of Chris Farley doing SNL skits in Spanish. He had the whole movie theater dying laughing, waiting for the movie to come on. He keeps rolling off these different impersonations, and then he would translate them to English, and then he'd go back to Spanish. So we're sitting there, and we're not a quarter way into the movie, and he's the next person down from me. I look, and he's just leaning forward, rubbing his head. I'm like, oh crap, Nathan, are you okay? I'm fine, man. I'm fine. 30 seconds later, he's projectile vomiting on the seats in front of us. We just grab him and exit out the theater. I'm thinking, oh boy, we're going to jail tonight. We made out. I never have seen the end of that movie.
That's just what I was going to ask. I was going to be like, so did you ever get to see the end of it ever since then? Or did you just like leave it? I'm never going to see it. 2/3 of the way through. That's just the way it works in my mind. That's fantastic.
So, I never have taken the time to finish watching it. Chris Farley memory.
My one friend from I was from high school, but we were in college. On Halloween, he dressed up as the motivational speaker, and he was like dead on with it. It was fantastic. He was the hit of like 2 or 3 parties we went to that night down the street between all the little different college parties that were going on. Like word spread like, oh, Chris Farley's coming. Chris Farley's coming, and I was like, I so should have gone as David Spade, and I did not. I did. I went like as a priest because my girlfriend went as a nun, and I'm like, I should. Wrong choice. I'm like, I should have gone as David Spade for this one, and had it like really play out. But yeah, that's just fun stuff.
Yeah.
Except for the guy who had to clean up the puke.
Yeah.
And there were a few other things that went on after that. I won't go into that here, but they got a little wilder.
I'm gonna finish off the. Oh, I did finish off the leg. Well, let me finish off the Heaven Hills, and we'll flip back over to something else. Do we want to shoot Western or action next?
That's either one's fine.
Western's short for me. We'll go there next because that's what
All
I
right.
do not have here. I basically, just because of my age and like I said, I saw a bunch of old Westerns, but when I was younger, there were 2 that kind of stood out that were more from my time frame. One I didn't pick was Young Guns, but I liked that one when I was younger quite a bit. Let me dump this out here. The one I did pick though is Tombstone, because I absolutely love that movie. It was fantastic. Doc Holliday was great. I love Val Kilmer's whole attitude in that. I'm like, this may not have been who he was, but this is going to be who Doc Holliday is for me forever. Yeah. Especially the scene where Ringo pulls out the gun and he's flipping it around, and then he takes his cup and he's like, woo, look at like that. I'm like, that is fantastic. Like, I'm like, but being that, I thought it should be obviously a bourbon, American bourbon with a Western. I thought that would be fair. I thought it should be strong, so I went with something that was cask strength. Not necessarily high end, because I don't think everyone back then was drinking a high end whiskey. Probably far less than whatever we're drinking now. But I went with Old Ezra No. 7 barrel proof.
Nice.
Oop, see, that's the damn camera in reverse. Sorry about that, everyone. It was pretty, like I said, it's been 9 months since I had it, but very oak heavy, so like very barrel heavy with it. Had some caramel, had some vanilla notes, but it still had a lot of heat, and I really enjoyed it, which is kind of like that movie. Like, you think it's calm for 4 minutes, and then something else breaks off, and there's this and that. I thought and it wasn't quite frontier whiskey, but I thought it was kind of close, but still very palatable. But yeah, definitely the oak heavy and the high proof with it, still giving you a little burn, that friendly burn where you're okay with it. That's the way I went, because I don't know, it just was really felt like that was home to that movie for me. Now, there's a couple other bourbons here I could, you could have slapped it, a Booker's on there too, because that's really nice in that category. But I do remember this as being oak heavy, and I would like to think that that's a little bit more what it was at that point. So I went with that for Westerns, though I know there's like that was another one where like these 2 stand out, but I could be here for 3 years labeling a list of other ones that qualify because of even just a line in the movie that's like, oh, yes, that's So I don't have that, so I'm going to finish off my Heaven Hills 6-year green label then right now. But Ben, what was your Western movie?
All right, so that's what I'm drinking tonight. Goes along with the Western. Tombstone was on my short list for sure. That's another one of those movies that it's just so quotable from just about there's so many great lines. I grew up on John Wayne and Clint Eastwood and all the spaghetti westerns, and like you were talking, Mike, anything black and white earlier. My grandparents were watching it. I was watching it on the weekend. So a lot of great Western movies. But I went with something a little bit more recent, if you will, but Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Morgan Freeman. I mean, it's just good grief. That to me is such a great movie.
Yeah.
For the whiskey with that one, I almost went Wyoming small batch because that's where the movie's based, is Wyoming. But I decided something big, something bold, something kind of rugged, maybe a little bit aggressive, just hit you with a big punch of flavors. And to me, just, I don't know, even the shape of the bottle defines the Old West. Iron Root. So kind of got that old classic Tombstone looking bottle. And just like Clint Eastwood's character in that movie, this is just big and bold, and it's not going to take any crap off of you. But just so many great flavors and such a good whiskey, just like the movie.
Nice.
I just got some samples of Iron Root today, but I did not want to tamper with any of them to screw up my judging. Like, I had already got this picked out, but I'm like, I have a feeling like one of those would take over. But I didn't want to screw that up.
They would. That was one thing with Western. I was like, it's got to be one of the Iron Roots. I mean, and that's what I kept thinking initially. That's not what I did, but yeah, it fits the bill too well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was yours, Mike?
So like Ben, I grew up watching a lot of old Westerns and stuff, but so I chose for my movie The Outlaw Josie Wales, and the whiskey to go with it, Old Crow. So, because for a few reasons on it. So with just like Josie Wales, Old Crow's got a past full of ups and downs. It's dusty, it's rough, it wants redemption, and it just wants to live in peace. It's not refined. It's not hiding anything from you, but it mixes with others, but still stands out. It's pretty straightforward. It's honest for what it is, and it's just whiskey. The other part to that too is Outlaw Josie Wales was one of my dad's favorite movies, and Old Crow was his whiskey of choice. So it pretty much it hit right on the money. But talk about a quotable movie for it was 1975, 76 ish somewhere is when it was made. There's so many things that are especially, just about people trying to live together and stuff. But the big exchange between 10 Bears and Josie Wales when they're meeting there, and Josie Wales is like, hey, well, I'll promise you this, and 10 Bears is like, you're not promising me anything we don't already have. And he's like, I'm not honest, I'm not giving you anything you already have. I'm just saying people can live together and in peace. And then they have this nice exchange where two old warriors are like, we're done. We just want to live, and we just want to hang out, and let's just live in harmony. And I watched the movie. It was a few weeks ago, and it holds up so well. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's easily one of my maybe top 3 or top 4 Westerns of all time. I've watched it so many times. And Old Crow, I've drank that a few times watching.
It's
it's on right there.
It's fine. It's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not fantastic. It is very. Iron Root and some of the Texas ones. You get that dusty corn. Taste from it. This is just dusty corn, and it's you get it. It's that you're drinking Old Crow, but it's fine. It makes a really, really good hot toddy, because you just get that nice sweetness of the corn, that little bit of bite, and it's just, it's.
I think Old Crow is a wonderful one for that. Like you said, just dusty and not like high, flashy, fancy.
No.
Just like average, like everyone drinker one like that. Yeah. And let's see here. Sorry about that. Ben said something about, there's a lot of great Western movies in the last 10 to 15 years as well, too. But I think Westerns are one of the types of movies that actually hold up.
Yes.
Like compared to some other ones, they can change content and stuff. Westerns, like even from, 1950, they hold up style-wise. I don't know. Like they fit the genre completely, and you don't have to worry about anything changing or people getting too upset because you're like, well, that is the way it was. There's no questions asked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't have too many other runners up, in the Western category, just because it got kind of convoluted for me. Like there was a lot of them like vying on the same level. And I know like I said, Tombstone was a little bit jump forward, but I don't know. That one just, it's like you said, there's so many quotable lines from it, Ben, that it just stuck in my head. Like that's the one that's like the epitome of what it is.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of old ones that are fantastic like that too. Now I'm gonna have to finish this one. We're gonna have to move on to the next one, which is going to be action. And we're also maybe keeping it a little short. We know we're kind of butting into the NCAA game and stuff like that, but it is what it is. So the next one I gotta find a clean glass for is action. This one was probably my toughest one because there's so many good action movies that you could drink two whole way through it, and it's just fun. Here, let's just keep going. I'm gonna say, because I don't think, since there were so many, I don't think I'm gonna be leaning up on anyone. I'm like another one of those honorable mentions. I know it's not going to be on there for anyone else. Pirates of the Caribbean. It's rum. That's not a whiskey drink, but it is an action movie that's fun to watch, and you want to drink to it when you're watching it. When they're on the island, you feel left out. I want a bottle too, damn it. But two I had that kind of came to a little prominence. I'm going to say number two, because I have one that I really went with. Number two was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And I went Klein Leash 14 or Game of Thrones. I only have Game of Thrones here, but I could see you slapping in 14 for that. Just full of rich, different flavors. It all works really well. And you could, I don't know. Like I said, that one filled through, so I didn't think about it as much, but that's just what came to my head was like a Klein Leash. I'm like, it feels very at home whenever you're drinking it. It's still very surprising, even though it has a bunch of layers, and I don't know, it just is a nice smooth flow to the whole thing. Like nothing, there's no fighting in it. It's just this nice story that you're going on, and you're going to enjoy it the whole way. And there is excitement in it, but it's not like craziness. But oops, that was a little bit bigger pour, which is okay. The one I did pick, and this, some people I could see how might put it into war, but I wouldn't put it into a war movie because it left war right away, was Gladiator. And I went with the Artbeg Corey, just because there is a fight to it. And in the first scene, it's all like dark and muddy and whatever, and just very earthy. And there is some salt in here and brine, salt and brine in it. But I was going to say it has still this very like kind of earthy note to it for me. And there is a fight that's going on when I'm drinking it. Like there's, I'm a better flavor than you. Get out of my way. There's some elbowing going on in it. But it lasts a long time. It has its own story. You finish drinking it, and it holds on to your tongue for a while afterwards. Like it sticks with you, like almost like there's a less gets done. I just thought, the very beginning of it, I was like, this is home to this. Like I can sit here and drink this. It is a little bit complicated and complex where it's almost going to pull your brain away from the movie a bit. But then all of a sudden it's just the fighting gets fun and enjoyable as you're moving on, and like, oh well, you lost this round, but who could win glass 3? Like there's a whole nother fight going on. Like all of a sudden the star pops up and it's someone else in it. So that you could have picked another art bag too. I mean that would easily be with it, but this is the one I had, and it's the one I really liked with it, just because it was more complex and gritty. So Yeah, the nose. The only thing that mattered was the briny salt. He got shipped all over the Mediterranean. So he got shipped all over the Mediterranean. So that's how I worked that one into it as well too. I was like, well, the briny nose, like he went from here over to here, back to here, and then he ends up back in Rome at the end. I'm like, yeah, there's a little sea salt in that whole little escapade that he's going on. So, and even on the nose, it's like right up into you. So I don't know, like it's up front and forward. So that's the way I went. But I do have some other honorable mentions when we're done, because that could be a top 10 of its own. But this is hard to pick one that you think fits with it, you know.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. Mike, what was your action movie?
So for my action movie, I picked John Wick. And although Blanton's is in the movies featured, his drink of choice is bourbon. So the bourbon that I went with, Stag Jr., because bourbon it's his drink of choice, and someone's getting their ass kicked, and people are afraid of it, and it's the Baba Yaga of whiskey, but it's also the one you send to kill the boogeyman when you have to, and it's you don't see eye to eye with it, but you have to respect it, and if you challenge it, you will lose. And the sequels of it are that they're the same formula, but each one's different, and you're going to have your favorite of the bunch. But don't even try to get too close to it, or you're going to regret it. But I love them both.
That's nice. Nice. I like that one.
Very good.
And that's what I was drinking the night to get ready was the Stag. It's Stag Batch 12.
Hard to go wrong with any Stag.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Like you said, it is fighty and punchy. It's going to slap you around a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one of the handful of whiskeys that I vividly remember my first ever.
Yeah. It's like your first face slap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do have to say, on a side note with it, I have this other glass that I have 50-50 Stag Jr. and Oogie. And oh man, it's do it if you get a chance.
Now I feel dirty because I don't have it. I'm gonna want it. I'm like searching the like shelf of whiskey over there for like what could I substitute? What could I substitute?
Yeah. I've got a Knob Creek store pick that would probably go pretty close, because I A/B'd that with the Stag I had, and they were almost darn near identical. But we killed the Stag bottle that I had with the Advent calendar this year, so I'm on the hunt for another Stag.
Yeah, those can be hard to find. The juniors are there. Those seniors are just a bastard to find.
Yeah.
Ben, what is your action movie?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a huge category, and I think for the three of us, honestly, we came out of a time in Hollywood where the plethora of action movies and kind of the advent of the action hero was born, you know.
Yeah.
80s, 90s. I mean, that's just when that really became, I think, a genre unto itself. So I kicked around a few. One that I contemplated, but then I decided, no, that's really more military war movie, was American Sniper, which I got a Chris Kyle t-shirt on right now. But I went back to the very first action movie I saw as a kid that I remember just being in awe and thinking, oh my God, this is just badass, just straight up Rambo.
Oh,
First Rambo movie. So, with that one, I went with Ardbeg, the Corey of Reckon, just big, dark, turbulent. It'll absolutely kick you in the mouth. A lot of smoke, a lot of barrel spice. And just, I don't know, that's one I can sit there and see where the movie's filmed. I think it looked like it, if I remember right, Pacific Northwest kind of area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just the damp, the big trees, the mist, the rain, the darkness of it. That, I don't know, that just brings to mind Isla and Ardbeg. So
yeah. And I think it's funny that you bring that up, because it was kind of that dark, rich, like kind of fighting like really impressive flavors where you are getting slapped around a little bit. Like that's all what each of us picked was like there is a little going on when it hits your I'm getting it right now on the left and right side of it from this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that does kind of help lay into that whole setting. So that's pretty neat. Rambo did come up on my list. A couple other ones. And I just like it. And it could be labeled in some of the Boondock Saints is fun, but I couldn't.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
That's a great.
And that's a whiskey drinking movie. I was like, yeah, but I'm like, you'd have to go. I would go. You have to almost go Irish.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to go Irish if you did that. And
Cask strength.
And I almost think like Redbreast cask strength is too friendly.
Right. You're
like
right.
Irish is almost too friendly for it. So I was like, I don't know if I can walk down this path, but I think that's probably where I would have gone. But yeah, that was one that hopped up on mine. Another one was V for Vendetta, but that could be you could go drama, but it's action for part of it too. And when you were talking about ones in the 80s and 90s, the original, I don't want to say the original because it wasn't, but from that time frame, buddy cop movie, Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah,
I could sit down and watch Lethal Weapon, and I put that you could go comedy, I guess too, but it is a little more action.
Yeah.
With that, and I'm like, that was one where I was once again having a problem. The whiskey just didn't jump at me as for what this would be. I'm like, all like, the Stag Junior one would be nice, but like almost another cask strength version of something that had more depth to it, but was light and fun, and you could like basically where the APV didn't hit in it, like it was light and fun, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I didn't realize how much I was drinking here, and it kind of sneaks up on you. I'm like, well, that. But yeah, those were a couple of ones from the action list that I was having some real, problems with that one. I'm like, I could spend days like, let's go test sample some of this. Does it work with it? And like, I almost did that with some of them, like trying to figure it out as I watched part of the movie. I'm like, let's pull up a YouTube clip, have a sample. So does this mindset kind of settle in with me as I'm watching it? But Lethal Weapon was a different one where I was like, I just remember that being, a little intense. Like, oh, he came back from Vietnam and he's a little screwed up, but I'm like at the same time it moves on. People become friends, so stuff could marry together, maybe two different casks or something. I just couldn't put my finger on that one. Yeah. But that and the Boondock Saints were the ones that were kind of vying to punch up the list that weren't older movies. Any other ones on either one of yours of the action list that were vying for top spot, I should say?
Yeah, first one I sent you guys, the first one I thought of, which that's more sci-fi, was They Live, and because I thought, oh, They Live and Brimstone, because it's corny and it's got a hell of a fight to it, and then I thought, well, okay, what's similar to that? That Lone Wolf McQuade, and because it's way corny and but it's got a wonderful fight, and you either think it's stupid or you love it, but then the one actually I really want to do was Great Escape, but I thought, okay, well, something that's got all these storylines that come together, so it almost have to be something that's a blend, but I couldn't figure out anything that went with it. And then, but the other one I had that I really thought I was going to pick was Die Hard with Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof.
That was on my list too. I just didn't have it on this one, but that was up on there because, then my problem is because is it a Christmas movie? Is always the argument, and then you have to like kind of throw in like a Christmas flavor into that argument if that is what's going on.
Right.
So, Ben said The Rock. That's not a bad one. That's not a bad one either.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
That is a night. Yeah, and that one could be like something where it's a little more hidden or something sneaks up on you, like later on in the drink, like that. That's a really good one. That's what I mean. Like, I think action and comedy were really tough.
Yeah.
Like, as we do this through maybe some of the other genres, which by the way, musicals are banned. They're banned. You will not see that on here. If even one of you two bring that up, you may be banned. just because.
Okay, but what about the Music Man? Because the Music Man is like an anti-musical musical.
Yeah, okay, that's fine because it is
Right.
because it isn't like
Yeah.
in that realm. But I think that's like it's one of the blights on American like I don't know. Like I've always hated the musical. Like if you want to see the musical, go to the musical. Don't make me watch a movie of the musical. Like I don't know. And I know I probably upset like a couple of people out there, but I hate them.
So you don't want to pair whiskey with your favorite episode of Glee?
No, I'd rather do that. I don't know any episodes of Glee. I have no clue. Okay, Arthur's right.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Okay. But I don't know. You might be able to slide that into something else too. But yeah, that's fair. But on the whole, that's not happening because I think we would all pick Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's cheating.
Yeah.
But no, like I've never seen Glee, and I'm not pairing it. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones, I think something's gonna, would pop up a little bit more so as like, oh, this is like the iconic movie from like a genre, like
right.
And you're like, okay, this is easy to pick this one, and I would go there. But action's all over the place, and hell, with Netflix and the other stuff, a new action movie's coming out all the time. Drama is going to be horrific to do.
Yeah,
that's just too hard to do. But yeah, so I don't know. I like a couple of the lists. A couple of the ones we picked out. I don't think anything was outlandish. I did like the fact that no one picked Anchorman for comedy. I really thought that someone would pick that and just be like, and I'm like, you're right. That fits in there so well. And tribe wise, people that watch from the tribe, that's kind of a home run, really easy hitter for everyone in that. But I didn't want to go that easy.
That was a little too much. That was low hanging fruit. That was.
It was, and I was like, that's too cheap. Like that's just too cheap of a grab. But yeah, I really like some of the stuff that you guys picked out, but yeah, I'm gonna want to go back, and on some of the ones we mentioned, I almost want to go find what I think works with it now, which I'm not gonna have a problem with, but it's nice stuff. So, it is, and Ben's right. A lot of this depends on someone's taste in movies and the taste in whiskeys, because anything that you have there that is, if you like an in particular movie and you're maybe in the lighter side, it would be easier for you to find that Irish whiskey, that goes with it, rather than trying to hunt it out and be a little bit iffy on it. So, but
I'll throw this at you, Patrick. Irish whiskey in an action movie. Take Redbreast cask strength and add a splash of Ardbeg to it.
Yes,
that is something magical right there. I did that back over the summer. Redbreast 12 cask strength. I used Ardbeg drum, and it was freaking phenomenal. I've repeated that several times now.
I could see that. I was gonna. I haven't had drum, but with that like little bit of rummy pineapple flavor that everyone's saying, that would be a really neat kind of slide in with that one. I know someone mentioned Braveheart before. That could be in a war, but that could also be action with it. And Scotland. I mean, come on, that's I almost feel sad for not picking on that myself, but I'm gonna say I'll save that for the war version because that's well, Ben brought up The Departed. There's a lot of movies that have crossover, and that's just the way it is. So, if someone picks it, it's not going to be bad, either way. And Arthur says his favorite war movie is Full Metal Jacket. That would be a tough one to pick, whiskey wise.
A whiskey that flips on you and goes bipolar.
Yeah.
Something dark and twisted.
Yes.
That's something we may have to talk to Ed about.
Yeah.
for somewhere you think it's going to start out okay, and then all of a sudden the whole thing like you said, flips over, and
Yeah.
it twists on you and I just, when we said twisted, I just thought of that drink he made with that fish in it, with the herring or whatever he made. I was like, that was a twisted drink. Like that would, I couldn't do that one. But
I don't know, you might have to find a way to blend some whiskey with crayons. With core here.
Your paint chips.
Well, that would be not right, but that could. Ed is having like at Distill America coming up. He's after the thing is all done. He's having I think Rot Gut Con, and he's asking people to come up with the worst drink they could have. Something with paint chips would be pretty terrible.
I've got a. Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you offline. I don't want Ed to find out. I got an idea for a mix. Because he's going to have to drink it, right? I mean, that's the rule.
Yeah, from what he says, he's going to drink. Him and his dad will drink it. Erica is out. She's not.
She's too smart.
She's not going to be involved in such an event. And I was like, well, that would just be easy. Just put some pickle juice in it, and that would ruin her night.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that to her, so I'm glad that maybe she's just going to be the judge. Of like. Ed clearly disliked this the most, and I wouldn't want to do that after a night of sampling. Is to like, here, let's ruin how I feel. So I give him credit on that, though. I feel like I am gonna want to taste some of the horrible things he has because I'm gonna ask him to bring like 2 or 3. I'm like, I've never had that Scotch style standard thing. I haven't seen it here. I almost wanted to buy a bottle to see, is this really that bad? But I don't know. I'm gonna stay. I'll do it. I like to go. I'll taste things and try things that aren't good just to see how they go, just to see if it's real. I've always been is it really that bad? And then afterwards, you're like, why don't you try it? You should have it. You should enjoy this type of experience as well, where you're like, then you have something good. You afterwards like, I still have that horrible feel in my mouth. But
you never experience the valleys in life. You can't appreciate the highs, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But with some of that, you think, man, I don't need to go that low, But yeah, I like all the ones we picked this evening. We're about an hour, so I think we're getting pretty close to calling her out. A little bit fast, but I didn't want to add in all the other genres all in one night. That could end kind of poorly by the end of it if we did more than 3 or 4. I know how on some of the sample nights when we have 5, by the time I jump off of here, I'm a little buzzed up when we go upstairs. And I wanted to keep it even keeled and kind of bring this up a couple times. Maybe next time we'll do like a top 3 in each category or something like that, because there are a lot of them that get deserve honorable mention almost. I picked one because this made sense, but so did these 2 or 3 other ones.
Yeah.
Especially and a couple of the ones you guys mentioned too in the chat. Some of those are really good choices. So
yeah,
and that's the whole point, is finding out something fun. But Groundhog Day is bugging me. Like I feel like that is one that is going to have like a nice friendly drinker. And it's just going to be happy and fun. And I feel like I missed it. I have the Powers John's Lane edition or release version.
Yeah.
That might fall into that realm of like, oh, this is not a problem to drink, but it is fun and it keeps going down. Or, another one I left off, Lost in Translation.
Oh,
that's low hanging fruit. Low hanging fruit again. I'm like, that's not fair. That's a little cheating in the subject matter of what it is, but I did dig it. And the other one, I guess I could bring it up again because it is not really a comedy. It's more of a mystery. So I'll have time to think about it, but it's going to probably be on my list. Recently came out Knives Out. If you haven't seen that movie,
not yet. No,
that is worth going to see. It's a mystery, and that one it'll make my top 3 for that one. I have no idea what I would do with it because that's almost like hidden flavors, like coming out through stuff. But yeah, that one had halfway through I knew I was not paying attention close enough, and I didn't care. I just wanted to enjoy the ride. Like there's some investigators and they're at a house and they're like, well, this house is like it's from out of the game Clue, like all the people involved in the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm not paying attention close enough. I'm like, I'm gonna miss stuff. I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna let it happen and enjoy the ride. That's gonna be and I did not have it figured out through most of the movie. And normally, like sometimes like 20, 30 minutes in when I'm watching a movie with Sherry, I'm like, oh, that dude did it. And you're like, what? I'm like, no, this is what happened. I took writing class. Like it's that guy. He's the guy who did it, It's friggin' wrong. Just not even not on the wrong path, but like I did not have it right. And that was awesome. Yeah, Ben's right. There's sci-fi, fantasy, drama. There's going to be some other ones that come up that are going to be tough. Sci-fi, I think, will be very, very difficult.
Yes.
Arthur brought up Evan Williams' Bottled and Bond for Groundhogs. Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad choice for that one. Really, like it's not. Yeah, it's kind of low key. It has unique flavor. It punches above its weight. It's not flashy. I don't know. That's not a bad choice, Arthur. But I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to dominate the speech there for a couple of seconds or cut you guys off. I just got on a roll. Sorry about that.
Evan Williams, that's one you could just go back to day after day after day. Yeah. So that might fit the bill right there.
Yeah, I think Arthur hit that on the head. That's you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh, this is what's in the glass.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. Then after a while, you're kind of irritated by it, and then you come back to it. You're like, no, I'm okay with it. And yeah, that's a nice one, Arthur. I dig that one. But yeah, sci-fi. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones that we'll be bringing up again. That should be some pretty interesting choices.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Top 3 instead of top 1 next time?
Yeah.
I mean, that means you're gonna have to drink like 9 whiskeys.
Well, okay. I mean, yeah.
People switching like, oh, I can only do a quarter pour this time.
That's what. Yeah. As long as adult films are not part of the category, I think we'll be all right.
No, that will not be. But that was oddly enough one of the higher renting sections when I worked at a video store.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I can imagine.
It was always great when a wife came in and was wondering. I'm like, I'd bring it up. I wouldn't bring it up sometimes because I did bring it up one time and it became like this issue in the middle of the store. And I'm like, well, you got like a $6.78 late fee. Do you want to pay that now or later? And I just like didn't say what it was about. She's like, what? I'm like, well, your husband came in and rented some movies like a couple, like last like 2 weeks ago, and he just, it was a couple days late. And what did he rent? And I'm like, well, and I like made stuff up for a bit. And he's like, he doesn't like those movies. And I'm like, well, it's just, it's just a little late fee. I can't, speak to what it was. And he came in and he's like, what was that about? You ratted me out. I'm like, I didn't rat you out. I tried to cover it up. I was like, I tried to lie for you. I did my very best to not have this happen. But I was like, I can't, I'm like, you were late by a week. I'm like, the boss says you got to pay. It's in your file. You have to pay. Other people you could be like, we'll just let that go. Next time the husband or the wife comes in, whoever rented it, like you owe us $17. Or somewhere like that. But yeah, I felt bad that day. I was like, oh, I almost felt like calling, like, you're in trouble, dude. Like I tried to cover her. It didn't work. You're gonna get questioned.
That's where you should have been with the husband. You slide me a 20 and we won't mention it.
He wasn't there. It was the wife and kids. I'm not going to bring up like what movie he rented in front of the kids. Like, oh, it was, Debbie Does Dallas 7. Like it's not gonna fly her. Playboys After Dark. And you're like, no.
Your daddy likes movies with toys too, honey. Yeah.
Just, that's right. That's what I was like. You just sit there, you're like, and like as soon as you breathe out like that, like the wife knows, and you're like, oh no. I'll just pay the late fee. I'm like, okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
The people, I have no idea. I don't work at a store anymore, Ben. But I think if you don't bring a movie back, you'd still get a late fee. The worst part is how much those movies cost. Like if you didn't bring one back, like the adult movies are like $130. It was ridiculous.
Golly.
It was like, yeah, you could like lose a new release movie. It was like $8.99 or like $20. Like you lose an adult movie, like nope, that one comes with a hefty charge, and you're like, we don't want to send you to collections, and we feel it's
We do publish these in the paper.
Yeah. If it goes to collections, it's going to be really awkward.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
First work, and then we go from there.
Maybe credit card and a car payment. All right. Well, like I said, we want to appreciate everyone for stopping in tonight. Thanks for doing that. We are running up on the hour, and we don't want to run over Whiskey Crusaders' start time here. They're going to be starting in about 3 or 4 minutes. Probably going to hop over there and see what they're doing. Thanks for stopping in on a Monday, everybody. We will eventually switch back to the Sunday Fun Day stream instead of being on Monday. I wanted to watch the Packer game. I had a sister's birthday yesterday, so that's why we hopped over. And if not by freak chance, Kansas City is probably going to go to the Super Bowl, so I'm going to lean on that. You're still nervous about it.
It's still Kansas City.
But I don't think the Packers are going to really beat San Francisco in San Francisco. But if by some fluke nature that both happens, we will definitely be doing a halftime stream during the Super Bowl. We'll pop on and give a little that, because who wants to watch two dogs run around and crap on a field? That's not a good halftime show. And the other one is what? Who are the two girls that are doing it? Shakira and someone, whatever. Two people that I don't even know if they live in Miami. Yes. And they're not really appealing to the mass people out there. I didn't think that was a good choice. So we still may do one anyways, just because you're already drinking and you'd rather come drink with us than you would watch either one of those two things happen, because they're a debacle. I remember when they did the Lion King for the halftime show, and I was like, I was so confused as to who okayed it. Like who said that's the best thing to have in the middle of the night? That's just not right. But cheers to everyone out there. Cheers to Mike and Ben. Thanks for stopping out, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.